Hi, Sean with Live Fire Ranch. On today's episode, I want to talk about Cooper's 4 safe gun handling rules. I don't necessarily want to talk about 2, 3, or 4, but I do want to talk about the number 1 rule, and that is treat all weapons as if they are loaded. My question to you is, are all guns in America loaded at all times? And clearly the answer is no. Some examples might be in gun manufacturing. The manufacturing and the boxing and the storing of those guns in the gun manufacturer's warehouse, those are all unloaded. Shipping those guns to a gun store, well, that would be unloaded. Guns at the gun store, on the wall and in the display case, in the back room, all of those guns are unloaded. And I would even submit that most people with vast gun collections, those guns are probably unloaded. So we're smart and we know that most guns are probably not loaded. So what we're trying to do with that rule is trying to trick our brain. We're trying to convince our brain of an untruth. I think anytime we do that, we introduce questions. And I think when we start to question fundamentals or building blocks, well, we could get into some trouble. So let's think about the National Rifle Association's 3 safe gun handling rules. We won't talk about 2 or 3, but the number 1 rule. The number 1 rule is always point your gun in a safe direction, whether the gun is loaded or unloaded. You point it in a safe direction. The idea here is it's a solid block for your foundation. If you're pointing your gun in a safe direction all of the time, then you're never, ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever going to have to worry about any kind of a sad news report about some accidental shooting. Why? Because you're always pointing the gun in a safe direction, loaded or unloaded. So, how can we make this part of our everyday training? Well, remember, practice makes permanent. It doesn't make perfect, but practice makes permanent. So practice in everything that you do. If you have a gun and you're practicing with that gun in your home, let's say you're doing some exercises with a dry fire or something like that, identify what the safe direction is. Again, whether it's loaded or unloaded, identify what the safe direction is. If we had a discharge and it went through this wall, what's behind that wall? What's behind the next wall? If it exits the house, where's it going? Is that a safe direction? And if we've identified that it's a safe direction, we're going to be fine. I think anytime we try to build a foundation on kind of what ifs, maybes, perhaps it could be pretends, I think we might get ourselves into a little trouble. So, number 1 safe gun handling rule, always point the gun in a safe direction, never deviate from that. How do we practice it? Picking up your glue gun, picking up a knife to cut some meat with for dinner, picking up your pencil or pen. When I have my framing gun on me and I'm framing a building, I make sure that framing gun's pointed in a safe direction. I make sure everything's pointed in a safe direction, even my finger. If you point your finger in the wrong direction, sometimes that might get you into trouble as well. Always point your gun in a safe direction and you're never going to have a problem and will be overall better shots and much safer gun owners.